name is Robin, and I'm happy to be here with you guys. Okay, I guess we'll start. When they said that this panel is going to be about technology and the leadership office, I didn't fully understand what it was talking about until I went into both of your presentations. Sérgio, yours was an article, and I saw Stephen's presentation, and I understand now what it was talking about, the leadership office. And the questions I'm going to be asking are much less technological and much more about the fluff around it. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I think all of us can really go into anybody else's app or website and really see exactly what our different programs, applications, however you want to call it, what they all do. But I think that sometimes for all of us who work inside, or again, I don't know your backgrounds, who work in parliaments, especially on the technological side, we all face all kinds of challenges that really have nothing to do with the actual application itself. And I think that makes it more interesting, because I personally would like to know how other people in other parliaments handle these things, because we all face them. Now, one disclaimer I would like to make here is that I'm hoping that you will be able to share with us as much as possible. Please don't share anything that will endanger your job. Okay, nothing that will, someone will look at us and say, wait, why are they talking about that in a public international forum? How dare they? So again, if you need to change names, dates, party names, anything, whatever it is, please, again, we'd be very happy to share. But again, don't share anything that is not, I don't know, shareable. Yes. Okay, so that's, so let's start with that. I would like each of you, I guess we can start with Stephen, to please first introduce yourself, what you do in your, you work in the Congress, to please share what your role is, and then please share the app that we are talking about here. We're talking, in your case, about Dome Watch. Please let us know all about it.
Thank you so much, Robin. Happy to be here today, and Luis and all the organizers. Yes, let me just, about myself. So I've been listening this morning and really enjoying the conference. And I've heard a lot of interesting things from institutional staff, people that work directly for the parliaments and the support organizations on digital transformation. As the panel title of this panel indicates, I hope to provide a little unique perspective from the leadership office perspective, where I have worked for nearly 18 years, all for the same member of Congress. His name is Steny Hoyer. He's from Maryland. He is the second ranking Democrat in the US House of Representatives over that entire 18-year period. And so most of you have probably heard the #1 ranking Democrat in that entire time. That's Nancy Pelosi. This is her #2 in the Democrats. And so it's been a great privilege of mine to work for him for those 18 years, always in leadership. And he's always prioritized technology and, more lately, you'd call it digital transformation. And that has been great for me, because that's sort of my role on his staff. And because it's been a priority of his, it's been fruitful over the many years. And so, we do, he's one of the only members of leadership in the US Congress, either House or Senate or Democrat or Republican, that sort of has really prioritized that for a long period of time. Where, for example, we have a full-time programmer, web developer on our staff. And him and I do spend a lot of time in this area, and we've built lots of cool systems and implemented lots of cool technology that help both the party, because that's a big part of it, because we are a political party leader office, but also because my boss really cares about the institution. We are happy to build tools that help the institution at large and not just our party. So inside of the party, we've done lots of cool stuff, like we run an intranet, just where all of our staffers can log in privately, only the Democratic staff, to get, like talking points and all that stuff. It's stuff that used to go through email, but everyone's email is a mess. So it's really helpful to put it all in a nice, clean place that everyone can use it and much better. We've also had, we built a nice resume bank and job announcements we do sort of only on our party side. We have a really good staff directory that's only in our party side. We also are able to, from the leadership office, help the institutional offices that really do most of the change. We aren't able to do much with just our couple staffers in a leadership office, but we appreciate, in the US Congress, we appreciate the work at the people at the Library of Congress and the clerk's office and all the institutional support groups that do a lot of the heavy lifting of all of our legislative systems and websites. And so from the leadership office, we can be a cheerleader, just saying you're doing a great job and do more of it. We also can, we certainly have their ear, so we can help direct those offices in the ways that we think most appropriate. But of course, they are never want to be responsive to one politician. They represent the entire institution. They have to represent both parties, for example. So they won't always do what we say. So that's why when I find opportunities where I think something really needs to be done, but the institutional offices don't want to do it for whatever reason, sometimes they're risk adverse. They're far more risk adverse than political staffers. Political staffers are like, let's just do it, let's go. But the institution has necessary restraints. Like, for example, they don't want to only help one party. They need to look out for both parties and the entire institution of Congress. But so when I see opportunities like that where they are unable to act, it's fun to have a little agile team to implement. And so that's a long-winded way of getting to our app. So our app is very popular and successful. One of many projects I've worked on, but we launched it in 2015. And so it's 6 years old and it's had 3 major versions. We're working on the 4th right now. And it really is used by almost all of our members of Congress and a whole lot of staff. And when we were building it, we built it not to be popular with the public. We could have gone that route, but that would have been difficult in its own obstacles. We built it just to be useful for our members and our staff. And that's more consistent with my boss's interests because he's in leadership and he only has his job when he gets elected by the members. They elect their leaders. And so that's his motivation is he likes to make a useful app that everyone uses because, of course, it helps him politically within the own party to be tech savvy, to have a cool app, that it's useful. But one cool thing about the app and one of the reasons it's been so successful is even though we built it for our Democratic members and staff, we chose to make it publicly available. And that was a struggle. A number of the things in the app were never publicly available before. And so I had to, myself and others in our office had to argue with lots of people to make those data sets public. One of them is like job announcements. You think it's simple, but for whatever reason, all job announcements were only sent to a private list of chiefs of staff. And so we made that choice to make it public. Another thing is vote announcements, just saying we're voting now or we're voting in 10 minutes, we're doing this. Those announcements were only in a private email list just for staff and members. It was never public before. And, I thought, of course, it should be public. And it's great candidate for our app because that's important, timely information. It's good for notifications. People want to get that, to have the phone buzz when they need to go vote. They don't want it to buzz every time they get an email because that's where the information was going before. And everyone gets too many emails. But so
Stephen,
go ahead.
Stephen, can I just stop you for 1 second? Because a lot of the things you're answering you're saying are really going to my second question. And I was wondering if it's possible if you can just sum up, because you're saying in everything that you're saying, you're telling us what your app does. So I'm wondering if can you make that concise? What
Sure.
does Don't Watch do for the user?
Sure. It's primarily focused on my boss's primary job, which is the schedule of the House of Representatives. So it has it from a monthly view, with the days that we expect to have voting days versus non-voting days. And then the weekly view, which is, every Friday we say that we're going to consider these bills next week. But then the most popular thing is the minute by minute, which is just these alerts where you can have it buzz every time we say, we just concluded debate and we're going to have votes in 15 minutes. Whenever we have new information on the vote by vote, we put it out through the app. So that's the first and primary and fastest way to get that information about when votes are. And it's been, as I said, it's gone through 3 or 4 iterations. And so some of the newer things, because everyone uses it, they all ask us, give us new features, add this, add that. And so one of the big new features is during a vote, it has sort of a live view of exactly how much time is left, exactly how many, the score, so to say, the live scoreboard of how many Democrats and Republicans have voted yes and no. And so that information also was never available to the public except the TV feed, which is kind of funny. But now that's all cleanly in the app. So that's an example of other things that have been added. Job announcements are also added. There's a number of other sort of periphery things, but the core is just the most up-to-date, timely, urgent vote information that we're about to vote on this, and also party opinion. That Democrats are urged to vote yes for this and no for this. So we also do our party position information on a vote-by-vote basis through the app.
Trabalho na liderança do Partido Novo, na Câmara dos Deputados. O Partido Novo é um partido, não só no nome novo, mas também ele é novo, ele surgiu há pouco tempo. E eu sou diretor de operações lá na liderança do Partido Novo. Hoje, na Câmara, temos cerca de 30 partidos, né, representados na Câmara dos Deputados, aqui no Brasil. E eu vou falar um pouquinho sobre liderança digital, que é um sistema que serve às lideranças, tá? As lideranças partidárias. Quando eu cheguei na Câmara, hoje a Câmara dos Deputados do Brasil já possui um sistema muito transparente, um dos mais transparentes do mundo. Você consegue ver como cada deputado votou, né? Você consegue ver gastos parlamentares, isto tudo disponível na internet. Então, a motivação só que as lideranças partidárias, elas tinham necessidades específicas, né? Não só saber qual era a pauta de votação, mas orientar os deputados como eles deveriam votar. Então, cada liderança, em 2019, possuía o seu próprio sistema. Então, como o Steven falou, né, que criou lá um sistema local que acabou servindo para outros partidos, né? Cada partido da Câmara tinha o seu sistema. O Partido Novo ia por esse caminho, mas como o próprio Steven falou, a gente tem uma estrutura pequena. E se o Sérgio sai, se o técnico sai, quem é que vai dar suporte àquela estrutura? Então, nós procuramos a Câmara dos Deputados, né? A equipe de TI da Câmara, uma equipe grande, permanente, e aí propomos, olha, faça um sistema para a liderança do Novo que sirva para as demais lideranças, tá? E o que o sistema, basicamente, ele faz, né? Você consegue colocar no sistema, por exemplo, amanhã terão as votações em plenário, e são 20 propostas legislativas que serão votadas. Para cada proposição, tem a orientação do partido. Então, o deputado consegue pegar o celular, ele não é um app, tá? Ele é um aplicativo que você consegue ver no celular, e ele consegue olhar qual a orientação que a liderança, né, os técnicos deram para aquela votação, como ele deve votar, sim ou não, e o porquê que ele deve votar com aquela orientação. Parece que é uma coisa simples, mas até 2019, a Câmara dos Deputados, que é uma das mais transparentes do mundo, mais modernas, não tinha um sistema para as lideranças. E tem uma coisa que eu gosto muito, que é o registro depois da votação. Você olhar na Câmara dos Deputados hoje, você sabe como cada parlamentar votou em cada proposição. Porém, você não sabe por que ele votou daquela forma. Então, eu agora, nesse momento, um técnico acabou de me procurar aqui da minha equipe, né? Sérgio, temos o registro de como o Novo votou em relação àquele projeto, mas não se foi sim ou não, e sim o porquê que nós votamos sim ou não. Nós temos um histórico, desde 2019, do registro das votações. Então, isso traz uma vantagem competitiva para as lideranças, né? Uma memória, né? Do porquê que vocês que trabalham no parlamento sabem que, muitas vezes, uma matéria, quando ela é votada, aparentemente você votaria sim ou não, mas, de acordo com o momento, né? De acordo com algumas situações, a orientação é mudada. E isso se perde, né? Por exemplo, quando você faz, a matéria está sendo votada, você apresenta uma emenda formal, fica no sistema. Mas imagina que você falou com o relator da matéria e você conseguiu incluir sua emenda sem precisar formalmente entrar, protocolar uma emenda. Então, você consegue fazer esse registro no Liderança Digital. Ele tem, eu vou, acho que falar um pouquinho mais na frente, ele tem indicadores, né? E o importante o Partido Novo, aí uma característica do Partido Novo, tem uma agenda legislativa. No começo do ano, nós colocamos todas as prioridades do partido. Quais são os temas, as diretrizes e as proposições. E cada proposição tem um posicionamento, sim ou não em relação àquela proposição. Isso está registrado no Liderança Digital e está disponível na internet. Hoje, se você entrar no site do Partido Novo, a agenda legislativa está disponível e o porquê que o partido vota a favor e contra aquela proposição. Então, Liderança Digital é um grande sistema, um back-office para as lideranças partidárias, onde podem ser feitos registros das notas técnicas, como cada parlamentar tem que votar, e após a votação, o porquê, né, que aquela orientação foi ou não seguida, né, como cada deputado votou. Não apenas o sim ou não, mas o porquê que aconteceu determinada votação. Tem outras coisas que eu posso explorar mais à frente.
You said that basically it's a system that the deputies can see from their phone. Only the deputies? It is only the people who are connected to the Novo Party?
O sistema, só quem pode acessar são os parlamentares daquele partido ou os usuários cadastrados pela liderança, né? Hoje, os deputados do Partido Novo, até por conta de privacidade, porque é uma informação muito sensível. A orientação, imagina que um partido de oposição nos Estados Unidos, né, o democrata, saiba antecipadamente como vai votar o republicano e vice-versa. Então, realmente é isso. Só os deputados e assessores do partido têm acesso às informações das notas técnicas. Agora, uma observação. Algumas informações nós disponibilizamos para fora. Não o sistema, mas como se fossem dados abertos. Então, nós disponibilizamos, como eu falei, a agenda legislativa, o posicionamento em relação às proposições da nossa agenda, são 90 projetos, estão disponíveis na web, mas o sistema em si, somente pelas lideranças partidárias.
So one more question is, again, just so that it's clear to me how the system works. Did you, so even though the Novo Party created this system, but all of the parties can use it for their own, for their own usage? Yes? Okay. You have 30 parties, you said, yes? So if you have 30 parties in the chamber, are there 30 different customized apps based on your original that are in use?
Na verdade, o Partido Novo, ele teve a ideia, ele provocou a Câmara. A Câmara tem uma estrutura de tecnologia, a Câmara dos Deputados. Então, a Câmara desenvolveu uma aplicação onde todos os partidos colocam seus usuários e senha e têm acesso. Então, não é um aplicativo. A ideia, o Partido Novo trouxe a ideia, mas quem desenvolveu foi a própria TI, né? A equipe de tecnologia da Câmara. Então, é uma plataforma web que pode ser vista no iPhone, não é um aplicativo, é uma plataforma web, onde cada partido se registra e quando coloca o usuário, ele identifica que você é daquele partido e as informações são compartimentadas entre as pessoas somente daquele partido. Então, hoje, 30 partidos utilizam o liderança digital, só que eles só veem a informação restrita à sua liderança, né? Ele não consegue ver, o Novo não vê o do PSOL, não vê o do PT e assim por diante. Mas o sistema é para toda a Câmara. Então, o parlamento hoje, brasileiro, o Congresso, a Câmara dos Deputados, possui um sistema que está disponível para todas as lideranças partidárias. Todos os partidos têm acesso ao sistema. Eu não sei se eu respondi, ficou claro.
Okay, so back to Stephen. Stephen, so you did start to explain a lot of the background of where you got to or how you got to your various, how do we say, let's say parts or features of your Dome Watch app. Again, let's go back to the Democrat, am I allowed to say Republican here? Democrats, Republicans, okay. So even though so you're on the Democrat side, and your small team, you said, created this this app. You said at the same time, and I guess this is where maybe we can get some clarification. You said at the same time that your I'm sorry, what is your boss's name again?
Steny Hoyer. Steny Hoyer, yeah.
Steny Hoyer. So did he? You said that he's very interested in the institution as a whole, and not just in his own small party issues, and so he was interested in creating something for everybody. Yes, and
yes.
So basically, both sides of the aisle can use Dome Watch and enjoy it and reap the benefits.
That's right.
Okay. However, you did throw in a sentence that said that it does give instructions to the Democrats about voting and stuff like that. Now, does everybody see that, or only the people who are logged in as Democrats see that? So this is similar to what Sérgio was saying, that basically, any party can use the same system, but when they log in, only those with the permissions to see their own particular party see their material. So what happens in Dome Watch?
Yeah, so we do include party, and it is completely visible to everyone. We don't have any logins whatsoever. So when you install our app, which is free on Google Play and iOS App Store, you just install it. There's no username, no sign up, no nothing. You just install it and it starts working. And so everyone sees the same thing. Internationally too, you'll see exactly what we see. So, but one of the advantages of making this from a political office is that we are not bound by the institutional's office's need. We call it neutral point of view. When anything the institutional offices do, they are very strict about having a neutral point of view and not being political in any way. And of course, that's important for the health of the institution. But we don't have that problem. we have a point of view, very, very much so. So we specifically say, like Democrats are urged to vote yes or no. But I think more importantly, we write the descriptions, the short descriptions about what we're going to vote on, because of course that is what's really important. Because if you take if you have just a simple amendment, it can be described, as the greatest thing ever or the worst thing ever. And so being able to write those couple sentences, because let's be honest, when you're having a whole bunch of votes and a very complicated, bill, those couple sentences might be all that a lot of members of Congress read about what they're about to vote on. And so that's a powerful thing to be able to write those with a point of view, with a political point of view. So it is funny that we made it and marketed it only to our side of the aisle, to Democrats. But we know anecdotally, and we've seen, you can stand in the back of the chamber during votes and you can see on the Republican side, our Democrats and Republicans mostly sit half and half you can see our app when you look from the back on their phones sometimes. And so we know they use it. Now they probably use it in reverse. They know if it says Democrats are urged to vote no, they know they probably are urged to vote the opposite. But I still think we're in a powerful position because of the descriptions, and so it's useful and we like it.
The descriptions actually do sound very powerful, and again, it might be true, although you never know if your descriptions are solid enough or convincing enough. Who knows what goes on the other side? Yeah. Okay, so that is definitely very interesting. Do you know if the Republicans are cooking up something also, some kind of an app that they all have, that they will have their own, or either app or internal system, whatever it is? Do they have something as well, or are they really? Did you really sell them on your product, and they don't need their own?
So I actually stole the idea from them, to be honest. I consider myself good at implementing things, but I am not afraid to steal an idea when it's a good one, and I think it can be done better. So way back, we launched ours in 2015. In 2013, the Republican leadership in the House launched a similar app. They were in the majority, and they, at the time, were setting the votes scheduled and everything, and they were smart enough to put it in an app with alerts, which is the basic idea of our 1.0. And I thought, that's amazing, that's great. I downloaded it, I used it. The problem was, I don't think it just wasn't built very well. It was sort of a shell app that they probably had to have a staffer full-time just punching in. And that was great for the first month or two. And then that staffer probably moved on, and then it got sort of abandoned and it stopped being updated. And I remember the reviews in the App Store were horrible. They were, saying how bad of an app it was after a little while after it stopped getting updated. So I learned from that. So when we made our app, we took our time. It took a couple of years. I was very worried about that. I don't have time to sit there and run the app all day. So we made it as automatic as possible, where the vote alerts always were emails before. So we just set up the system to auto consume the emails, to know that it's a vote alert, not random other email, and to format it well and turn it into an app alert automatically for people, which is what they want. So that's just one example of, we implemented it better, and it's around longer, and so that theirs no longer exists. And I don't know of any on the Senate side from either party, and from the House side, we're the only one in the game, essentially. So,
okay, but if, let's say, people from the other side, wait, am I? Yeah, okay, I'm not on mute. People from the other side, let's call it the other side, come to you and say, listen, your app is great, it was very useful for us. Here's another idea. Will you take that seriously?
Absolutely. Yeah, I have friends on the other side. It's really quite partisan and difficult right now, as you probably read in the press. But I have friends and respect a number of people in the Republican leadership, and so absolutely, some of them that are tech-minded talk to me regularly and like to comment and make suggestions on the app, and I certainly take them seriously.
Okay, that's good to hear. That technology puts us pretty much all on the same plane, so that's good. Okay, Sérgio, I wanted to well, first of all, again, similar to the question that I asked Stephen just now, if any of the parties that use your system have an idea or have a need, they will not come to you. They will go to the chairman, you said, the chairman of the deputies of the Chamber of Deputies, or to the I guess to the general leadership to request changes or additions to the system. And have things improved over the last few years? Actually, you said no, it's 2019. I guess that's kind of very new. But even in this short time, do you have a list of improvements already that you know that need to be made?
Na verdade, Robin, muito boa pergunta. Eu acho que essa foi a grande vantagem da gente ter procurado a equipe de tecnologia da Câmara. O sistema liderança digital foi construído numa proposta colaborativa. Então, todas as lideranças puderam opinar sobre as características do sistema. Eles utilizam uma metodologia chamada metodologia ágil, onde a cada 15 dias, as lideranças, os técnicos se reúnem. Eu represento a liderança do Novo, né? Eu não diria, são 15 partidos que participam, 10 partidos, e são colocados ideias vindo de todos os partidos. Então, o Liderança Digital hoje atende a, vamos botar por Steven, né? Democratas e republicanos sentam juntos, né? Aqui no Brasil, e eles dão características. A cada 15 dias, a gente tem uma implementação, né, das novas funcionalidades, a apresentação, e a equipe de TI da Câmara apresenta o planejamento do que será feito. E nós, enquanto lideranças, discutimos as prioridades. Negociamos, os técnicos negociam o que vai entrar na frente de implementação no sistema. Existe hoje um roadmap até o final do ano de N coisas, muitas coisas que têm que ser implementadas. Então, respondendo, Robin, sim, hoje as lideranças, os técnicos sentam, os parlamentares não participam, apenas os técnicos que trazem as demandas dos parlamentares, né, as necessidades dos parlamentares. Então, nós sentamos e aí discutimos com a equipe da Câmara e essas modificações, implementações são realizadas. Eu não sei se ficou claro, mas acho que fica uma construção colaborativa o sistema.
Again, it is actually very heartwarming to know, and again, I see this by us also, that again, when we're talking about cooperation, across political parties for successful implementations of technological advances or tools, it is actually very heartwarming to know that we can all cooperate, we can all get along somewhere along the line. I do want one more question, Sérgio. So you did say that basically you have a history of all of not just the votes of each party, but you have a history of why each party voted the way it did, because I guess before the votes basically is when the party announces why it's voting the way it does. Yes, it's before the votes that they announce it. Is that the case on the system? In other words, if today they're voting about, I don't know, saving animals, okay? Today they're voting about saving animals, and it will be in the afternoon. In the morning, each party will post its platform or its idea on the, and then that will be saved, and anyone can go backwards and see the history of why they voted in such a way. Is that's the case?
Vou dar um exemplo concreto. Hoje foi publicado o que será votado amanhã. Por exemplo, um projeto para salvar os animais, como você, né? Cada partido coloca no sistema a sua orientação, né? Mas fica restrito ao partido, né? Só ele tem acesso àquela informação. Amanhã, quando os congressistas estiverem em plenário, eles vão anunciar o seu voto. Então, vamos supor, nesse projeto, a orientação da liderança é votar sim. Então, você vai votar sim. Amanhã, quando o congressista for votar, ele vota não. E ele votou não. E aí os assessores vão entender o porquê, né? Pode ser que tenha algum acordo político, alguma coisa tenha modificado, e essa votação, então, nós temos a orientação do sistema sim, nosso sistema interno, e o parlamentar votou não por algum motivo. Isso acontece pouco, mas acontece. E aí, esse registro do porquê que essa orientação não foi seguida é lançada no sistema. Por quê? Você imagina, Robin, que daqui a 2, 3 anos, essa pauta dos animais seja uma pauta muito importante para o partido. Que quem olha de fora e vê, fala assim, por que aquele partido votou não? Né? Teve uma motivação. Então, nós registramos isso após a votação, também é um dado que fica restrito somente a liderança, né? Onde a imprensa pode saber o porquê, né? O Partido Novo, que é um partido que defende os animais, votou contra aquela matéria. Tem uma justificativa que nós colocamos no sistema. No dia seguinte à votação, é fácil lembrar, mas você imagina daqui a um ano, alguém pega o histórico de votações e fala por que que o Partido Novo votou contra essa matéria, que é tão importante, né? E isso fica registrado também no sistema.
And that history, again, the why, I'm not talking about how they vote, the why they voted becomes public for everybody to see.
Pública somente para as pessoas da liderança daquele partido. Não fica para o público externo, a não ser que a imprensa ou alguém busque essa informação.
Okay, so again, so that doesn't get publicized somewhere, let's say on a public website afterwards. It still stays inside the system?
Não. Sim.
Okay.
Isso. O que nós publicamos, Robin, que hoje está na nossa página, hoje nós temos uma agenda com as proposições prioritárias do partido, são 90 proposições, e lá hoje está no sistema e no nosso site, na internet, o porquê nós somos contra ou a favor dessa matéria. Hoje está, mas são determinadas proposições que são as nossas prioridades, a nossa agenda legislativa. Isso hoje está na internet, né? O dia a dia, as votações diárias não ficam na internet. O que está já é uma coisa de longo prazo estratégica. As proposições que o partido vai trabalhar no ano, hoje estão na internet. Se você entrar no nosso site, novonacamara.com.br, você vai lá. Por que que o Novo é a favor dessa proposição? Está lá o posicionamento.
Okay, thank you. That made it clearer. Thank you. Okay, Stephen. One last thing I wanted to say is like this. Here, I'm gonna make a statement, which is creative solutions for freedom of information challenges. Okay. Now, you mentioned in your presentation about Don't Watch what you called hacks. Okay. Many of us, and I'm sure Sérgio also must have had something like this in somewhere along the line where there's a challenge, a technological challenge, in order to bring the information to the people. And in your case, the people might be your party, or the people who are really interested in what's going on the Capitol at the time, on Capitol Hill at the time. We want to bring that information, but we don't have it. And we don't have all of the funding to bring it. We have some funding, maybe not enough. So I saw that there were 2 hacks. You actually mentioned a third today, but basically the rebroadcasting of the screen of the votes from C-SPAN, that was in one of your earlier versions. And the other one was to rebroadcast the floor, what was going on the floor, the congressional floor, through a live YouTube stream. Okay, so now, did you have any, I think really here's the question, and protect your job, please. Was there any real opposition from inside of the, let's say, the clerk's office or somewhere along the line that was really opposed to what you were doing and you did it anyway?
Yeah, so I'm proud of those hacks. So I'll talk about the one about the screen reading. So our members, they were using our app to know, oh, there's a vote right now. And so they use our app when they're running to go to the chamber to vote. And what they asked for is, I want our app to also show us exactly how much time is left in the vote and the score of the vote. How many Democrats versus Republicans have voted yes or no or whatever. That information was already public, but only through a TV feed. It was never released in data. And so therefore I couldn't get it. Even though I was in the majority leader's office, I asked for it over and over again. And the answer wasn't that, oh, we can't give it to you, because it was just a basic data stream that they could have given me access to. it was that, that it had never been given away before, and without official permission, blah, 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 blah. They're just risk adverse, which I understand. So we were denied over and over again. And so we just did it ourselves from the TV feed. We literally had our code take pictures and then cut out the text in the screen and send it to Google Vision, which is just an OCR, and then it would tell us exactly what the time left was and the numbers. And that worked great, and our members loved it. And it worked great for about a year. And then the TV feed updated their fonts, and it broke our code. And so it wasn't working. And our members were furious. They weren't just calling me. They of course don't understand who makes the app. They were calling the clerk and other offices saying, it's not working, it's all wrong, it's broken. And so we had recently won back the majority. And so I just went back to the clerk and I said, look, guys, please just give it to us. I don't want to spend a bunch of money to re-engineer this hack. Just give us the data stream. And so they did. They required a number of approvals. Like we had to get approval from the Republican Party to give access to the party. And to their credit, they listened to it on the merits and said, well, give us access to that data as well in case we want to make an app. But sure, that's a reasonable request. And so we did make it happen. And now we have the actual data live, and it's great and fast. So that's just one good example of, and once it went live, there were no complaints. There were no real opposition. So the only opposition was bureaucratic, slow moving, which, has its merits for the institutional offices, but is difficult sometimes.
And for future, if you guys have future ideas and features that you want to put online, do you think it will be easier to get the information you need directly from the institution this time?
Absolutely. I think that the institutional offices were able to see that this didn't cause any problems, that this app is popular with members, that similar acts of innovation should be encouraged. And so I think we've been very lucky in the U.S. House of Representatives. 3 years ago, we formed a whole new select committee on modernization. And they've been very active, and they've done a very good role, I think, in exactly what you asked, which is they're sort of giving cover to the institutional offices, because we have this whole committee now of members that take votes on telling the House to upgrade, modernize, innovate, make more things open, make things more transparent. And I think we're lucky to have that. And I think the institutional offices have responded really well. So I think it is not just my little story. I think there's a bigger push in the House to make these things open and more accessible. And I think we've made a lot of progress in the past 3 years.
That's cool. Okay. I understand that I only have a few minutes left here. So let me turn to Sérgio for a second. Also, the same question to you. Are there challenges to get, in order to make improvements, as far as you know, in your system? Is it a challenge to receive, and by the way, I was going to mention now something to Stephen also, and what Stephen just said now is that, there's a committee that happily votes on improvements and accessibility, but you know what, every word that you said has a dollar sign attached. There's money, okay? So it's not just, oh yay, let's bring in a team. The team costs money. So when I asked the question to Sérgio, is the institution willing to make improvements, to continue making improvements as needed, with the money, with the freedom of information, with the willingness to give the information that is needed? Is that going to continue improving?
Robin, eu acho que o que nós fizemos aqui no Brasil, né, é um exemplo, acho que bom para replicar, porque a gente não usou a estrutura das lideranças como era antes, né? Cada liderança fazia o seu sistema. Quando nós transferimos a responsabilidade, né, para a Câmara dos Deputados, o orçamento é da Câmara. Então, hoje, por exemplo, vou dar um exemplo prático. A liderança do Novo, quando nós chegamos, teriam 2 técnicos para construir qualquer sistema, 2 pessoas. A Câmara hoje tem mais de 100 pessoas contratadas entre servidores, não servidores, para tratar de tecnologia da Câmara. É claro que não é só o liderança digital. Então, eu diria que, óbvio, eles têm problema de orçamento, vão ter, mas não é um impeditivo para as melhoras que nós estamos implementando. O grande desafio nosso é que hoje todas as lideranças utilizem. Ainda temos lideranças que fazem seus sistemas pontuais. Acho que o desafio, né, é que todas se incorporem, porque você imagina 30 líderes partidários no presidente da Câmara falando: precisamos que o liderança funcione melhor ou novas funcionalidades. É muito mais fácil de conseguirmos o budget, conseguirmos o orçamento. Então, hoje, nós temos uma lista de melhorias que a cada 15 dias nós nos reunimos para debatermos sobre. Temos 15 partidos efetivamente utilizando, mas nosso objetivo é que os 30 utilizem, né? E aí acho que serve como modelo, né? Eu gostei muito do Steven ter falado que ele compartilhou a experiência dele, então democratas utilizam, republicanos utilizam, né? Mas foi uma iniciativa democrata. Lá, fazendo uma analogia com o Brasil, a nossa iniciativa foi do Congresso, da Câmara, para todos os partidos. Então, isso foi bom porque não gerou nenhum tipo de problema e hoje o orçamento hoje ficou mais facilitado porque a Câmara tem um orçamento muito maior do que uma liderança partidária, né? Então, hoje a gente não teria esse tipo de problema.
Okay, well, I thank you very much. I really appreciate I really appreciate your openness, both of you, and I thank you. I definitely learned a lot of new stuff that I can definitely implement by me. I hope, maybe, and I hope that also you guys learn from each other, and that all of the people who are participating in this conference today in our session are also, excuse me, are also also enjoyed this and learned a lot. So again, thank you so much. Thank you to Bússola Tech for hosting this this wonderful conference where everybody can really learn from everybody else. And thank you.